In nearly every enterprise we visit, we find the same phenomenon: certificate sprawl. Code signing seems to multiply over time like a virus. This is often blamed on poor discipline or sloppy engineering. But today I want to challenge that view. Certificate sprawl is not a failure of teams. It is the predictable, structural result of how modern software delivery operates. It is an architectural outcome, not a behavioral one. Leadership often assumes that having too many certificates is simply a sign of weak management or careless teams. They think if we just had better spreadsheets, we would have fewer certificates. In reality, even the most mature high security organizations in the world experience this exact same pattern. The cause of sprawl is not a lack of effort, it is a consequence of scale. You cannot manage 1,000 node network with a 10 node mindset. Modern software development is an engine that generates certificates. Every continuous integration or continuous deployment pipeline, every microservice, every mobile app, and every piece of firmware needs its own identity to be signed. Each time a new product is launched or a new build path is created, there is immediate pressure to issue a new certificate to avoid bottlenecks. In the race to ship code, waiting for a central certificate is seen as a failure, so we issue a new one over and over again. The reason the count only goes up to that there is no natural limit the mechanism. Issuing a new certificate is fast and easy. It takes minutes. However, decommissioning or retiring a certificate requires absolute certainty that is no longer being used anywhere in the global estate. That is a level of certainty that most enterprises rarely have. As a result, we live by a dangerous rule: when in doubt, leave it active. This is how certificates accumulate year after year. To be secure, teams often want to isolate the environments. They don't want a development key to be able to sign a production release. So they issue separate certificates for developers, test, staging, and production. While this is a sensible security decision at the local team level, when you multiply that by hundreds of teams across an enterprise, you just have a quadruple your certificate count and your management overhead. Automation acts as a force multiplier for Sprawl. As we expand for our use of Kubernetes, cloud functions, and automated pipelines, our signing operation increases exponentially. Each instance may require isolated credentials to maintain security boundaries. However, while our pipelines scale at machine speed, our governance processes still scale at human speed, if they scale at all. This governance gap is where Sprawl thrives. Modern organizations empower their teams to be autonomous and move fast. To avoid central IT delays, teams are often given the power to issue their own certificate or spin up their own certificate authorities. The result is a landscape of parallel trust authorities with no unified oversight. Each team is doing what they best for their own speed, but the aggregate result for the company is a fragmented and unmanageable trust architecture. Software has a life cycle, but certificates often outlive it. Applications are retired, pipelines are replaced, and products are sunset. But because there's no automated kill switch or life cycle link between the product and the certificate, the signing authority remains active. No one wants to be the person who broke the legacy bill or revoking a certificate. So ghost certificates continue to haunt the environment long after their purpose is gone. Because there's no central control plane, the inventory becomes a guess. Certificates lives in local key stores, HSMs, cloud-native secret managers, and developer tools. Without a single source of truth, the organization cannot accurately count, classify, or even find all its signing identities. You cannot govern what you cannot see. And in most enterprises, at least 30% of the signing estate is effectively invincible to security leadership. This is not just an administrative headache, it's a security crisis. Each valid certificate represents potential release power. As the number of certificates grows, so does the mathematical probability that one of them will be misused, leaked, or compromised. We're effectively increasing our attack surface every time we hit issue certificate without having a plan for its retirement. Sprawl is the silent expansion of your risk profile. The ultimate consequence of sprawl is the destruction of accountability. When you have thousands of signing certificates, the enterprise can no longer answer the three most important questions in an incident, which certificates are actually active, who is the current human owner, and exactly what software are they allowed to sign. When you cannot answer those questions, your trust is just hope. To conclude our topic with this, we will conclude with this. If issuance is easy and retirement is sad, sprawl is inevitable. It is the unavoidable structure outcome of modern software delivery operating on a trust model that has no lifecycle enforcement. We have to stop blaming teams for having too many certificates and start providing them with an architecture that manages the lifecycle for them. In our next topic, we'll look at what happens when this sprawl leads to shared and orphan authority.